So open your computers, Cinema 4D. Now we will practice these principles that we talked about before. Okay, first of all, I will show you and then you will try to repeat after me. Okay, there's one thing I want that you understand today. It is that in 3D, hierarchy is probably the most important thing. If you recall, I explained before that in animating characters, you have something which is called FK and also an IK. So IK, IK, and FK, FK. IK is inverse kinematics, and FK is forward kinematics. Basically, that's a child and parent connection. So in everything else in 3D, you always have a parent, you have children, and also many times you have grandchildren. You have grandchildren and grandchildren. So the hierarchy is very important over here. Parents are the older ones, and everything below parents need to follow the rules of parents. Okay? I will show you now the meaning of this. For example, I think that on your computers, this tab is on the right side. Okay, it should be there. In my case, it's over here. I explained you these options over here. So we have subdivision surfaces, we have extrude, we have cloners, and so on. If I add a cube over here, and then I click over here and hold, I have all of these options. You have only the green options, and the purple ones are on the on the lower part with this sign, plane, right? On your computers. It should be like that. Yeah, plane. That's correct. Okay, so let's do this. I will show you now and then you will try to replicate everything that I've done. Let's add a cloner. I go here, hold down, and clone it. Please watch my screen. I want to show you what does this mean. And after that, we will practice together. And now, so let's repeat the whole process. I added the cube. I click here, I hold, I add a cloner. Then this is parent, this is child. If I hold down on cube and put it under cloner, now we clone the objects. If I click on the clone and if I lower this down, sorry, if I increase this, not lower this down, increase this, then we have something like this. So what have we done? We cloned one cube and now we have many other cubes. Okay, if I go to Window, Asset Browser, if I go to Models and I right now, let's go with the can. That's a more familiar term, right? I will add this can. I will go right click and then connect objects to create one object of this one. And then I will increase this object like this with my hand. Okay, now we have this object. If I put this cloner under here, nothing happens, right? But we can put it over there. Now, when I click on this, sorry, I need to click over here. When I click on this can, the can should be over here. When I click on the can, on the cloner, sorry, I can choose here an object. See, now everything disappeared, right? Now, if I click on the can, on the cloner, I will see that when I click on object, I have this option object. So we have grid. When I go to object, I have this new option object. I click and hold can, drag and drop it over here. Watch what happens. Now the cubes are on that object. And if I change the cube, let's say we decrease it, now the cubes will be onto this object. Okay, is this connection understood by you? When I click on clone, go back, let's say a grid over there. I will delete this cube and now I will click this can and put it as a child of a cloner. Look what happened. Now we have full package of these things. When I click on cloner, I click multi-instance. Now computer thinks this is one object, but we are seeing 9, 10. Is this clear? This is very important for the future part that I'll show you now. Any questions regarding this? You understood cloners, you understood everything, you understand that what's up in a meaning of parent and child, it needs to be up. Now, if I go back like this, see, again, more, how to understand this? This is not the parent of cloner. Understood? Even though it's on the upside. Now, when I click and drag and drop, now it is a parent of the cloner. So it needs to be in this direction. Now cloner is not the parent of can. Cloner is parent of cube. But when I click on can and go over here, now cloner is parent of can and can is a child. Is this clear? To make something a child of a parent, you need to drag and drop inside that object. If you don't do it, if it's like an upper layer, it doesn't mean anything. It's not a parent. Is this clear? Very nice. And now you will see why is this important. Okay, I'll show you this and then you will repeat after me to feel linear fields, to feel Voronoi fractures and all of these beautiful things. Okay, watch the process. The easiest for me is to add a matrix. So I click here, I hold, I add matrix. If I zoom it in, I will see that there is a small difference over here. Okay, I click on the matrix, I will make it like this. Nice. And now we have a matrix. Matrix is an object. Dot. Remember this. The next one, we need to add something that will make an effect on that object. So the child that can make an effect on its parent is called an effector. So to make something work inside an object, you need to have an effector. That effector will make effect on the parent. Remember it by this. The second part is to make, you have recorded everything, you can go. To make a child of an object, you need to create an effector. Effector will make effect on the parent. Okay, so how to create an effector. I explained this last time, but I'm just repeating. This is the base, trust me, this is very basic. If you understand this, everything else will be clear. And everything else is very, very easy for you. If you don't do this, you will have many problems because nothing will work. And when you create a complete scene with this in mind, and you don't see anything happening, then that's a problem because you don't know what's happening. Why is nothing happening actually? You need to find the resolution for that. In most cases, it's very hard to find because you skip one step and you don't know which step you skipped. Okay, so if I click over here and I see those purple objects, these are called effectors. If I go on the upper side, we have something called MoGraph. When I click on MoGraph, I click on effector, I see all of these effectors. Please your eyes to the screen. So MoGraph, effector, plane, and all of these effectors, they do different things. I showed you last time. Remember the delay, time, randomizer, all of these effectors. Remember. So we have the main one. As you can see, there is a small one over here saying this is the main one. Everything below is what? A child of that kind. So the whole principle that I'm showing you here is the same. There's always a parent which says you need to do this. If you don't do it, I will not work. And what will you do then, right? So the same goes here. Okay, so let's add the plane. We added the plane, and what happened? Let's go back. Go MoGraph, effector, plane. What happened? See here, students. MoGraph, effector, plane. What happened? The plane or the MoGraph or the matrix went up. Now we have a plane on the upper side. The matrix is on the lower side. When I click on plane, I have all of these amazing and beautiful options. Those three options will be repeatable for all of the effectors, not only for the plane one, also for randomizer, for time, for delay, for effectors, for poly effects, for all of these. So when I click on plane, I have position. If I turn off the position, see what happens? It goes back. Now this is the default position of the effector. Understood? Effector make effects on what? On an object. When I click on matrix and I go to effectors, what can I see here? The effector was applied. If for some reason, when you add on MoGraph, effector, and plane, nothing is happening, it means that your parent, which in this case is matrix, don't have effectors. So if nothing is working, probably your main object is not affected by the effector because you did not apply effector on the object. To do that, if you missed it, you click on the effector, drag and drop, and put it over here. Now it's working. Is this clear? You will repeat after me. No worries. You have a pale eye, like, oh God. Don't worry. I will practice with me today. When I click on plane, I will turn off this one. But now I want to add another child. See, on the layer part, it doesn't mean or it doesn't look that we have parent and children. We would say that plane is the parent and matrix is the child, which is not correct. The correct answer is matrix is the parent and plane is the child. Maybe this looks confusing. Maybe this looks like, why is this professor always talking about parents and children? Trust me, this is basic steps. Without this, you will not understand anything. So you need to understand that whenever you click on something, you have inside that something that is affected by the one you clicked. A bit confusing, I know, but this is, the final part of your 3D journey in this year, so it needs to be a bit more complicated. Okay, so when I click on plane, now nothing is happening. Even when I click on rotation, see? When I click on scale, when I click on rotation and do this, the cubes, all of them are rotated. See? All of them are being rotated. But I don't want this. I want when I play this as an abstract motion that I add something that will influence the parent, which is the child of the main parent, which is the object. So I need to have a field that influences the effector that influences the matrix. Okay? Let me show you how to do this. When I click on plane, I have fields over there. We did this last time. I'm just repeating. When I click on fields and I click over here, hold down, and I go with the spherical field. Oh God, what happened now? We have a spherical field in the middle. Let me increase this. Now we have something which is in color. This is the different color of everything else. We have a green color over here. We have a white color over there. What's the meaning of the green color? It means that it has something applied on it. If something is applied on that, we have something else, a new key term, which is called vertex map. The name of this color is vertex map. Sorry. The name of this color is vertex map. That vertex map is now influencing the parent. The parent is the effector. An effector is a child of the main parent. The main parent is the object matrix. The brightness of the color sense how intense the. That is correct. That is correct. That is correct. Yeah, yeah, that is correct. Thank you for noticing that. In general, if the color has more stronger color, or yeah, if the color is more stronger, it means that the effect will be stronger too. If it is brighter, like in this part over here, then the effect will be lower. To make it clear, let's go on effector, which is the child. Let's go on the position. See, it's not the same on every single part. The strongest effect is in the middle. And this is fun thing. See, when I click on the spherical field and I move it like this, it's moving a lot, right? Yeah. Okay, so I want to make something now. Let's do it like this. Start animation over here, frame 90 over here, play, go back, and now we have this part. Of course, we'll not go in detail for this one. I want that you feel this, and then we will create something new. Okay, so now repeat after me. Open Cinema, create a matrix, go here and create a matrix. Yeah, like this, see? So hold hold your mouse on this one and create a matrix. Very nice. Now play a bit with the options of the matrix. I want that you achieve when you go on the object part, try increasing on the first and on the last value. You'll have something like this. I want that you achieve this. This is the first step. Let's see how you do. Very nice. Well, all good. I think it is okay. So now we have the object. The object is the main parent, the grandfather, the godfather, the main one. Okay. What is below are all the other mob players. Other mob players in our case are effectors and fields. So we should now add what? Effector. Let's go on the MoGraph, effector, and add a plane. So MoGraph, effector, add a plane. Small problem here because honestly the fact that your system of learners are a bit older. You have no graphics. You have no Next, now we'll MoGraph, go effectors, and then add a plane. See here, MoGraph button over here, then effector, then a plane. Add a plane. And now go to parameter. Did your matrix go up or down? Okay, very good. Now let's check this. Go to matrix and then go to effectors. If it is, that's good. If not, drag and drop it from the layers part to the effector part. So if it is not over here, drag and drop over here. Now you need the third part. The third part is an effector. So let's add an effector. Sorry, a field, not an effector. My mistake. So we need to add a field on the effector. Let's go on plane and now on field. Plane and then field. Click over here, hold, and choose spherical field. You should have something like this. Okay. Is it like this? Very nice. Now, when you click on plane, you click on parameter. Try changing, or firstly, try applying all three options. So plane, parameter, position, rotation, scale. And then change these values. Create something. Click on plane, then parameter, and then apply or check position, rotation, and scale, and change these parameters. Yeah, Now, before we see what happens, I want to show you something. So the screen very fast. This is a very similar option, not quite the same, but a bit similar to the option which I very prefer in Blender, which is called geometry nodes. So when you click on scale and you go like this, sorry, like this, uniform scale. Nope, sorry. Yeah, when you click absolute scale, not uniform scale, my mistake. And are you watching, all of you? This is important for me. When I go on frame 0 and I click over here, I go on frame 300 and I checked scale and absolute scale. And now I will check this one too. See here what happens? Yeah. See this? Oops, my mistake. I do this. I do this a bit. I can work like this. If I change this one in the rotation and then I save the keyframes, this is what will happen. See, it grows. It's fun when I zoom it in. And if I animate the camera, we could see many beautiful things over here. This is only one of the things that you could do with this one. Okay, did you do this with spherical, like I told you? Very nice. Sorry? Yeah, it is. Blender is a beast, definitely. So yeah, I like Blender. Nice. So the following one, when click on the spherical field, go on the beginning, make a keyframe, move it over here, then choose enter keyframe, move it over here. I just want that you see how everything changes. See, like this. When you create this, we created our first dynamic image. After that, we create something more. How do you like? I don't know what's possible. Okay, so if you animate this, I want to see. Very good job. And we have one more thing. to finish, or two more things, I'm sorry. Okay, this is clear, right? Do you need a break? Very nice. Let's continue. We don't have many things to work. Let's do it like this. First, again, watch my screen. Yeah, I could pause the recording. I should do that. Never mind. Watch my screen, and then we'll practice together. Okay, ready? Let's create things. First of all, I will create different objects. So I will click and hold over here. I will click torus. It doesn't matter which object you choose. I will click capsule. I will click oil tank. I will click tube. I will click bezier. No, bezier is not good. Let's choose something else. Platonic, pyramid, cylinder, sphere, cone. Okay, I have many objects over here, right? Now I will add a cloner like we did before. Now I will choose all of the objects and make it a child of the cloner. Now we have something like this. But I need something else. I want the cloner to have more clones. For example, 6, 6, and 6. Now I have something like this. Now I will click multi-instance to make it easier for the computer. Okay? And the following one, what I need to do is I will add an effector called randomizer. So if I click over here and I go to random or MoGraph, effector, and random, I add it over here and I go to random and I change or I click rotation. I will rotate it in different ways like this, make it very messy. When I play it over here, nothing happens. That is good. But the object is randomized, right? Like this. So what should we do now? I will create a sphere over here. Make it larger. And now we will add different things. When I click on the cloner, I will add an image, a bullet tag called, I clicked on cloner, right? Yeah. Bullet tag called rigid body. And when I click on sphere, I will click add a bullet tag collider body. So now we have a rigid body, we have a collider body. When I press play, watch what happens. It breaks and it goes down. Again, it breaks and it goes down. What should I do? I don't want that the object falls down. It means when I click on this tag over here and I go on force, my position of the gravity should be around 5, I think. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, it's good. Now what happens? This is a rigid body. It's only moving because of the gravity. In otherwise, it wouldn't move. But when I click on this sphere and I move the sphere over here, see what happens. Because this is a collider and we are working with a rigid body. See? Now, it would be very fun, right? If we could make this ball bounce like this very fast. See, if I'm faster, it goes like this. Very, 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 very crazy, right? So what should I do? I could add, see this is very fun. You could play with this one. Okay. But don't forget, if you are not playing the animation, if you are doing only like this, nothing will happen. Okay? So you need to play the animation and then move it like this. Watch now. There's something, I will put it in the middle, sorry. Okay. There's something called a tag. This is a tag, you know that, right? But when I add another tag on sphere, let's say, there's a tag called vibrate. Animation tags vibrate. Former, it was under simulation tags. So maybe on your version, it's under simulation tag. If I go on animation tags and I go on vibrate, now the object will vibrate. You can add this vibrate on camera too. Then the camera will go like this, you know. So, and when I go to vibrate, again we have the same logic. We have position, we have an scale, and also rotation. Let's enable all of these. And let's see what happens when or let's do it like this. We'll see without enabling any of these. This is what happens, nothing. When I enable rotation, this is what happens. It rotates a bit. When I enable scale, this is what happens. And when I enable position, sorry, this is what happens. A very small position. Let's increase the position like this on all of the ends. This is too much. Or maybe not. Let's go with 600. See what happens? Isn't it fun? It's random, yeah. Because why? We added an effector called randomizer, and we added a tag called vibrate. You know, if I click on the tag and I choose frequency, let's say 6, see what happens? It's very crazy now because the frequency is much higher, isn't it? That's Voronoi fracture. I showed you last time. That's Voronoi fracture when objects explode and go in the other way. Yeah, that's correct. So I think it's more beautiful when it goes like 3. And also we can increase rotation in other ways or scale, decrease it a bit. Then it will be like this. See? And if I go here like 120, 120, 120, now we have something like this. It's pretty much crazy, right? Okay, so this is abstract. Now let's build it together. Delete everything. Okay, students, and the last practice for today is using linear fields for something very effective and effectors for effective things. I'm laughing at my own jokes. Sorry. Okay, so what should we do? We should create cubes. Let's create one cube. Or let's do it like this. I will show you again, and then you will repeat. Is this better principle? I think it is. Okay, watch my screen. I created a cube over here. And now I want this cube to be smaller, something like this. Okay? And then we will, no, it's good, something like this. Now I will add a cloner. Again, select the cube, make the cube a child of the cloner, and increase the count on this side. Do something like this. It's almost like we are creating, how do you call that? Dominoes. And now let's make it closer. I want to create something like this. Okay? Something like this. Nice. The next step is I will create a MoGraph, a effector, a plane. And as you can see, nothing happened because we did not click on this one, so we need to add a factor over here. When I go on a factor, I will click it like this. Now I will add a field over here. Let's add a linear field this time. The only thing here is that I should rotate it like this. So these lines, when I click on linear field, these lines should be in the straight line with this. Okay? Is this clear? This is a bit tricky. Probably in your case will be different angles and stuff like that. But the point is that the linear field needs to be in line with this one. So it should not be like this, rather like this. And you can check it also by the color. If the color is something like this, it's good. Now when I click on the linear field, I can see that the vertex map is changing, isn't it? Okay, we need to make it better, like this. So now the linear field is changing the vertex map. This blue is the vertex map, right? So when I click on the linear field and I animate it from this part to frame number 90 to here, what's happening? Nothing is happening, right? It's just being affected. But when I click on plane effector, when I click on parameters, when I click on position, now things should change. See what's happening? These things are happening. But I don't want the position to change. I want something else. I want rotation to change. So when I increase this one, it rotates in this part. Let's go back. When I increase this part, it rotates in this. But the one I want is the final one. Let's rotate it 100. I'm sorry for doing like this. Oh, I deleted it. Where is it? Go to plane, rotation, B 180. I wanted to do it like this. See what's happening? Maybe even 90 is enough. Yeah, 90 is enough. But we'll go with 180. It's probably better. I will increase this count to 300 frames. Then I will go to the linear field and use this keyframe and increase it a lot to frame number 300 to make it slower. Oh, I just copied it. Very, very bad. Let's do like this. Okay, it needs to be faster. So move it here. Very nice. It's rotating, it's doing this thing. Now I will add a sphere. This is a sphere. I will put it over here. And I will create a cloner again and make this sphere a child of this cloner. When I click this, now we saw that the position of the balls changed, right? To delete that, we go on cloner, object, and reset coordinates so that the coordinates are not reset. We click here 1, and now we have 3 balls over here. Let's go with 10 balls and move this whole cloner part like this. And now when I press play, this is happening. But the fun part is, if I say that this cloner is a collider and these balls are rigid bodies, then this is what it will happen. See? Even funnier part is if I say bullet tag soft body, it goes like this. See? What happens with all of these parts? When I change this, click cloner, rigid body. Oh, cloner. There's a mistake over here. Wait. Cloner, rigid body, cloner, collider body. It happens this, but when I click here, go on force, 5. Yeah, I messed this up. This shouldn't happen. Let's change this in the first position. This was better, right? Collider, do it like this. And this is the animation I wanted for you. And also, if I click here and go on collision, increase the bounce to 50, and then create a new camera, make this camera a child of this sphere, enter the camera, increase it, or child of this linear field, that's better. Then we have, it needs to be slower, like this. Then we have this, right? Make it up. This is what happens. We should increase the count of this sphere, maybe 20, and make it like this. Okay. And then move the whole cloner part to the left. Change the camera. And I think now we should have a pretty decent animation, right? It's not working on this one. Probably we need to add again rigid body. Now it's good. See? This is a very fun part of animating things with dynamic simulation. What do you think? Is it good? It's funny. Okay, so thank you for being today with us and see you next time.